So yesterday, Biden held a town hall, um, and it was honestly hilarious. Even though they lobbed a ton of softballs at him, this one, which was another softball, came out kind of funny and both funny and frightening because he comes out in support of 8-year-olds transitioning, or being transgender rather, and he also talks about the subject like a right-wing boomer who doesn't know the language or anything surrounding the transgender issue. He talks exactly as if he was a right-wing boomer. Because if he was a right-wing guy, everything he said in this video, he would be raked over the coals for it. Especially coming off the heels of the sexual preference comment made by Amy Coney Barrett, which resulted in the entire leftist Twitter being ass mad about it, and to the point where two dictionaries actually changed their definition for the word sexual preference because it implied choice, which it doesn't. And you're going to understand it in just a few seconds, so let's play the video and then we'll talk about it.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm the proud mom of 2 girls, 8 and 10. My youngest daughter is transgender. The Trump administration has attacked the rights of transgender people, banning them from military service, weakening non-discrimination protections, and even removing the word transgender from some government websites. How will you, as president, reverse this dangerous and discriminatory agenda and ensure that the lives and rights of LGBTQ people are protected under U.S. law?
I will flat out just change the law. Eliminate those executive orders, number one. You may recall I'm the guy who said, I was raised by a man who, I remember I was being dropped off. My dad was a high school educated, well-read man who was a really decent guy, and I was being dropped off to get an application in the center of our city, Wilmington, Delaware, the corporate capital of the world at the time. And these 2 men, I'm getting out to get an application to be a lifeguard in the African-American community because there was a big swimming pool complex. And these 2 men, well-dressed, leaned up and hugged one another and kissed one another. I'm getting out of the car at the light, and I turned to my dad. My dad looked at me and said, Joey, it's simple. They love each other. The idea that an 8-year-old child or a 10-year-old child decides, I decided I want to be transgender. That's what I think I'd like to be. It'll make my life a lot easier. There should be zero discrimination. And what's happening is too many transgender women of color are being murdered. They're being murdered. I mean, I think it's up to now 17. Don't hold me to that number, but it's higher now.
Yeah.
And that's just this year. And so I promise you, there is no reason to suggest that there should be any right denied your daughter or daughters, whichever, if one or two, your daughter, that your other daughter has a right to be and do. None. Zero. And by the way, my son Bo passed away, was the Attorney General of the state of Delaware. He was the guy who got the first transgender law passed in the state of Delaware, and because of a young man who became a woman who worked for him in the Attorney General's office.
We've got one more segment coming up.
How are you?
There's a couple of things I want to go over. First of all, she points out that her youngest daughter is transgender, meaning the 8-year-old child, and Biden completely supports it. I don't know about you, but I don't think any of us at the age of 8 had any coherent thoughts enough to decide our own gender, let alone transition. This is honestly awful, and it's super funny because Biden again comes out as a boomer when he talks about it, because he says when your daughter decides, implying there's a choice. So let's watch that part of
now
the video.
to get and these 2 men, well dressed, leaned up. The idea that an 8-year-old child or a 10-year-old child decides, I decided I want to be transgender. That's what I think I'd like to be.
No, I decided I wanted to be transgender. That's what I'd like to be. So this is how Biden sees it, because he honestly doesn't believe it. He doesn't understand it. He just says it because it's political expedient to him. That's why he didn't do anything about gay marriage in 2008, but rather much later, again when it became more politically expedient for him. This is a guy who sat around with segregationists. He had zero issues with that. So I'm not buying for a second that his dad was so progressive to the point where he says those two men love each other. Okay?
Make my life just this year, and so you're
Not only the part where he implied there was a decision, I want to also touch the story about his son, Bo, who was the Attorney General, and he said that he enacted laws.
daughter or daughters, whichever. And by the way, my son Bo passed away, was the Attorney General of the state of Delaware. He was the guy who got the first transgender law passed in the state of Delaware, and because of a young man who became a woman who worked for him in the Attorney General's office.
Now, this is completely my uneducated opinion, but can an Attorney General pass laws? I don't think that's right. They can pursue cases and create precedents, right? I don't think an Attorney General can pass a law, which makes this story a lie. The funniest thing about this entire clip is that Biden seems like he's asleep for half of it when he tries to feign sadness at her comments. He seems like he's falling asleep, then waking up to her. And he also gaffed for like 20 seconds before he got to
Oh, flat out just change the law. Eliminate. You may recall, I'm the guy who said, I was raised by a man who, I remember I was being dropped off. My dad was a high school educated.
Yeah, so not only Biden made her an extreme point to many of us. I don't think a lot of liberals can stomach the idea of people becoming transgender at the age of 8. Not only did he make this ridiculous point, he also gaffed his way into it and came out the other side as a right-wing boomer because he completely misunderstands the leftist point on, the leftist position on transgenders when he said the word a kid can decide I want to be transgender, which is actually what the right believes and what most people believe, because at the age of 8 you're choosing to do so. You're choosing it for your child, who should be playing around in his school or in his kindergarten and shouldn't even be thinking about sexuality or gender. Yeah, this is honestly awful. I don't know, this clip is both funny and terrible at the same time, but what do you guys think? Leave it in the comments. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. And on your way down there, leave a like on the video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.